What if there was another Earth in our solar system? Imagine, for a moment, a solar system like our own. Sunlight pouring through darkness and painting the planets in gold. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, and beyond. Now, add a twist. Somewhere between the familiar orbits, there spins another world, a second Earth. Not Mars with its cold deserts and thin skies, nor Venus with its churning storms and poisonous air, but a true twin. Blue, green, and white. A home-like planet waiting to be discovered. How would history, science, and even humanity itself have changed if two Earths were born under the same sun? The presence of another Earth raises immediate questions. Where would such a world reside? To avoid gravitational chaos, this second Earth would need a stable orbit. Perhaps at one of Earth's Lagrangian points, 58 million miles ahead or behind along the same orbital path. Locations known as L4 and L5. Alternatively, it could trace a path on the opposite side of the Sun, perfectly balanced so that Earth and its counterpart always remain hidden from each other, sharing an invisible cosmic dance. But nature has its rules. Planets tug at one another, and orbital ballet is anything but simple. Would both worlds hold their ground, or would gravity's relentless pull draw them together or tear them apart? Scientists have calculated that two large planets sharing the same orbital neighborhood would likely disturb one another, unless carefully separated by millions of miles and curbed by the Sun's gravity. If this hidden twin had always been there, locked in step for billions of years, the solar system might adjust, forging a new, delicate equilibrium. Comets and asteroids, their paths subtly shaped by an extra Earth, would trace new arcs through space. Let's imagine this second Earth is nearly identical. Similar size, mass, and atmosphere, rich with carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, and water. Now imagine the sky at night from our own Earth. Sometimes, perhaps, this sister planet would appear as a bright star, flaring in the distance, occasionally lost behind the Sun, sometimes emerging as a curious anomaly to ancient astronomers. Myths and legends might spring from its mysterious light, stirring wonder and fear. A wandering presence appearing and vanishing across the ages. How would the course of human history change? Scientific inquiry has always chased the unknown, but with a second Earth, curiosity would spiral into obsession. Ancient astronomers, tracking the strange patterns of the stars, would puzzle over the wandering light, crafting stories of gods, spirits, or mirrored worlds. As telescopes grew stronger, as mathematics unlocked the secrets of celestial motion, astronomers in the Renaissance would finally see clear evidence. A planet shaped like our own, hiding in the Sun's shadow, a perfect doppelganger. From that moment, human ambition would shift. For centuries, our eyes turned upward, yearning to touch the void between stars. But why risk journeys into the dark, endless gulfs beyond the solar system, when another Earth, a genuine cradle of life, was within reach? Moon landings and space probes would still be milestones, but the goalpost of interplanetary travel would sit much closer, tantalizingly so. Consider the 20th century. The space race, ignited by the Soviet launch of Sputnik, powered nations to build rockets and satellites. Humans dreamt of landing on other worlds, but Mars and Venus proved hostile. Learning the truth of another Earth would focus every grand ambition. Could we reach it? Would we find life? Or perhaps something even more significant, a reflection of ourselves? Space programs, flush with funding and driven by global fascination, would accelerate. Instead of flags and rovers on desolate rock, the ultimate prize would be this new Earth, an entire planet to explore. But would this world harbor life? Earth's biodiversity arose from 1,000 intricate accidents, asteroid strikes, ice ages, tectonic shifts. On Earth, too, similar conditions might unleash familiar patterns. Continents drifting, climates shifting, forests rising, life bursting forth. Or, perhaps, the dice would roll differently, and strange new species would reign. 65 million years ago, an asteroid ended the reign of dinosaurs on Earth. But if our twin avoided the impact, perhaps dragons would still soar, or reptiles would rule as the dominant branch of evolution. The possibilities are endless, both thrilling and sobering. And what of intelligent life? If, by cosmic chance, evolution repeated itself, there could be another humanity looking at the sky, wondering if it's alone, just as we have for millennia. Two intelligent civilizations growing side by side in the same solar system, yet separated by vast gulfs and the burning light of the sun. Would they reach out, sending signals, probing the darkness for echoes of their own existence? Or would their destiny be loneliness, each world unable to see the other until technology caught up? Imagine the day when the first radio signals, beamed out across the void, bounce off our twin's atmosphere and return faint, unexplainable patterns. Astronomers, listening to static, would pick up strange pulses, evidence not of distant stars, but a nearby source. Wild speculation would rack the world. Could it be lightning, metallic ores, some strange coincidence? Or was it proof, undeniable, electrifying, of intelligent life close at hand? Contact, if it came, would break philosophy, politics, and society all at once. Would we send probes or messages in code? Would we wait in fear of what might be transmitted back? The first encounter between two Earths would be more than a scientific milestone. It would be a moment of collective reckoning. Are we alone, or do we share the sun with another mind? Now envision the next stage, the race for physical contact. Scientists and engineers would pour themselves into building ships capable of crossing millions of miles. Technologies would leap forward, inspired by the dream of meeting our cosmic siblings. Just as early navigators sailed to new continents, astronauts would brave the space between worlds. The hope of discovering another civilization, perhaps even another version of ourselves, would be too strong to ignore. Perhaps when we first land, we find a silent world, its surface raw and untouched, a paradise or graveyard. Maybe we stumble upon the ruins of ancient cities, vast libraries lost to time, confirming that intelligent life once grew and perished there. Or perhaps we find bustling life, verdant rainforests, and wild creatures unknown to Earth. The presence of a twin would change everything from art to ethics, from religion to politics. Now, shift your thoughts to science. Another habitable world, available for study and comparison, would be a goldmine. By observing how biology, climate, geology, and physics unfold on our sister planet, we could probe the most profound questions of existence. Are the laws of evolution as strict as we think? Do the same patterns repeat, or does chaos dominate, producing wildly different results each time? Climate scientists would compare planetary weather across two Earths, testing models with unprecedented accuracy. Did our histories align? Did ice ages synchronize? Did volcanoes rise and fall in parallel? If one planet grew warmer or cooler, why? If one managed to avoid an extinction event, what could it teach us about survival, resilience, and fate? Imagine we discovered that Earth and its twin diverged sharply. Perhaps one is blanketed in forests, while the other is swept by endless deserts. We would learn not just from what is similar, but from what is different. We might uncover new techniques to fight desertification, prevent species extinction, or manage global resources. The twin would serve as a living experiment, a mirror to our own choices and mistakes. There's a deeper, more troubling question. If both worlds housed intelligent life, would peace or rivalry define their relationship? Sharing a solar system means sharing resources, asteroids, comets, and even energy from the sun. Disputes might arise, not over borders, but over cosmic property rights. The foundations of international law would stretch into interplanetary law, demanding cooperation or risking conflict. Would the second Earth be seen as a paradise to colonize, a sanctuary for a select few? Or would it be respected as a sovereign world, with rights and autonomy, especially if intelligent life flourished there? Darker impulses might emerge, echoing old stories of conquest and empires. Would humanity attempt to shape, dominate, or exploit its twin, repeating old mistakes on a cosmic scale? Or would awe and wonder push us to choose collaboration, forming the first true planetary alliance? Even without other sapiens, colonizing a living, breathing world would pose moral dilemmas. Do we let explorers encounter native species, risking harm and contagion? Do we attempt to reshape another Earth for our own purposes, or do we preserve its wild beauty as a living laboratory, the greatest gift science could ever receive? Now, step back from the daydream. The cosmic circus of two Earths would reshape everything: history, science, literature, myth. Our spiritual stories would multiply. Religions would grapple with the idea of another cradle of creation, another home for souls and hope. Questions would swirl: are we special, or part of a larger pattern? Does each Earth have its own destiny, or are we bound together by fate? Writers and artists would compete to imagine how life, intelligence, and civilization might unfold under a different sky. Fantasies of parallel evolution, lost cities, or alternate histories would drive stories for centuries. The need to understand ourselves, what makes us unique or universal, would become the ultimate quest. Technology, too, would race forward. With such a prize in sight, humanity would speed across frontiers that might otherwise have taken centuries. New materials, propulsion systems, and artificial intelligences would emerge, tested in the forge of ambition and necessity. The challenges of long-duration spaceflight and off-world survival would become personal, pressing, and real. On the home front, seeing our own world reflected, a sister planet, similar and yet strange, would force us to face hard truths. Would we become complacent, expecting a second chance if we ruined our home? Or would the sight of another Earth, breathtakingly beautiful, impossibly precious, remind us to protect and cherish the planet we have? If life, rarity, and luck are real, then every world is irreplaceable. It's easy to imagine both hope and horror. Maybe conversations about planetary protection, sustainability, and climate change would take on a new urgency. The twin Earth would act as a warning or a hope, inspiring policies of stewardship rather than exploitation. Or perhaps rivalry and fear would drive nations to hoard knowledge, to compete for first contact or claims of ownership. Human identity would change too. For the first time, Earthling would mean something broader, inhabitants of one world among two. The scope of our empathy might be stretched, forced to include not just strangers or animals, but entire planets. Interplanetary diplomacy would dawn. Ambassadorial missions might cross the void, seeking peace, alliance, or partnership. It's tempting to imagine the wonders such a discovery would bring. New medicines from alien plants, unheard music and culture, philosophies that reframe human existence, and perhaps even the merging of two civilizations' destinies. The dream of unity, always distant and idealistic, might suddenly feel as close as a neighboring world. And yet, the dangers are real. Disease, misunderstanding, xenophobia, and fear could just as easily drive the two Earths to mistrust, build weapons, or withdraw from contact. The lessons of history, first contact between societies on Earth, remind us that meetings between cultures can spark tragedy as well as triumph. From a scientific perspective, every field would find its assumptions challenged and renewed. Biology would grapple with the nature of evolution, geology with the structure of worlds, astronomy with the mechanics of planetary systems. The very idea of Earth-like would be redefined. If two Earths exist in one system, does it mean life is common, appearing wherever conditions fit? Or would the rarity of such a pairing remind us how precious and how improbable our existence is? Even the search for extraterrestrial life in distant galaxies would be colored by the lessons of our own solar system. Missions to Mars or the moons of Jupiter and Saturn would intensify, searching for biochemistry that echoed or diverged from our twins. The presence of another Earth would serve as both inspiration and caution, reminding us that the universe might be more crowded or more lonely than we ever imagined. Let us pull back once more and let the mind wander to more speculative futures. Suppose, centuries from now, both Earths are linked by regular travel, commerce, and partnership. Humans, and perhaps native sapiens from both planets, work together, building a culture spanning two cradles of life. Barriers fall, traditions change, and new forms of art, thought, and society emerge. Inequalities and prejudice might fade, replaced by a sense of cosmic fellowship. Or perhaps, driven by isolation or misunderstanding, the two Earths drift apart, developing separately, each society convinced of its own superiority or uniqueness. Legends grow, tales are told, and eventually bridges are built once more, reuniting worlds divided not by distance, but by time and history. The story of Two Earths is ultimately the story of possibility. It's a laboratory for hope and fear, wisdom and folly, triumph and tragedy. Every action, every invention, every contact between worlds holds within it the seed of the future, a future richer, stranger, and more profound because somewhere, out among the planets, another world awaits. Long after the first explorers have set foot on our twin, after the first books and poems describing its grandeur have been written, after generations of scientists have measured its weather, its mountains, and its oceans, the greatest discovery may not be out there at all. It may be what this mirror planet teaches us about ourselves, about our place in the universe, about the scale of chance, and about the boundless possibilities that lie just beyond the next horizon. Because in the end, whether we're one world or two, every planet is a solitary jewel, spinning in darkness, lit by the fire of a distant star. However many twins we find, it is up to us to be wise, kind, and careful stewards of what we discover, both out there and here at home. Thank you for watching the video. What do you think about today's topic? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and share the video to support the channel. Thanks again, and see you in the next video.